Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Forged Alliance Forever promotional series with me, your host, Gyle. Before we start today, I'd like to give a quick shout out to Red Rage and his upcoming 2v2 tourney. It's going to have a winter theme, guys, so bring your coats. But seriously, there's a lot of sign-ups, or room for sign-ups left. A lot of people have already entered, but there's plenty of room, he assures me, for more. So if you want to get involved, don't hesitate, guys. There will be a link in the description to this video below. But on to today's game. You've been begging for it. It's an average Joe's, guys. So without any more of this retarded to do, let's head on over to 6-leaf clover and see how they get on. So handily, we're going to bisect it down the middle of the map for the two teams, mainly because that's what they did, and we'd have a strange result if we didn't do that. Up here at the 1030 position, we have Papislovas for Team 1. He's going Fim in the red corner. And then at the 12 o'clock position, we have Raul. He's going Cybrin in the orange corner. And the final member of Team 1 at the 130 position, we have Seiko. He's going Cybrin. And for Team 2 down here at the 730 position, we have Blodir. He's going UEF in the yellow corner. And number 2 on Team 2, we have Flavored Max. He's going Cybrin. And over here on the right, in the 430 position, we have Vickers. Pronto game, he took my wife. On sort of postcard, if you know what I'm talking about. He's in the blue corner, and he's going UEF. So, of course, 6-leaf clover, you guys know this, an adaptation of 4-leaf clover. Lots of mass in the middle, very similar to extra starting positions, but I'm pretty certain it's not meant to be an 8-player map. I've never actually had a look, it may be. But that'd be quite crazy. Or not an 8, sorry, a 12-player map, but that'd be quite interesting. But seeing how these guys get on, we've got Papislovas. He's kicking out a few engineers, not doing a great deal early on. Over here, we've got Raul. He's working on a hydrocarbon, just getting some reclaim on. Couple of the early engineers, so he's got the right idea. As you can see, these aren't particularly high level or high ranked players, but it's the game, I assure you, was about a month ago. I pulled this one off the replay vault, so it shouldn't be too far away from what these guys are currently. Seiko seems to be the only guy, actually no, Blodiras as well. These two guys are heading out towards the middle, and it's not surprising actually, because these guys, not why they're the most confident, because they have the highest rating, not much between them, but quite a lot between them and everyone else. So these guys are going to get into the middle and promptly attempt to get their hands on some of this reclaim, of which there is a hell of a lot. I'm pretty sure on 4-leaf clover there's a wreckage of a small base in the middle, but here there's just Titan wrecks and galore and brick wrecks and just about every type of T3 and T2 land unit available. So lots of mass to be had. You can see there's a happy little engineer out there for Seiko. He's getting involved. And Seiko is just going to be spamming up a quick T1 PD to give himself some breathing room. He's got a little scout for radar coverage nearby. Give himself some breathing room from Vickers, who doesn't seem to be going after him. He sent 3 engineers on a mechs building mission. So those mechs are going to go up nice quickly. And he's just going to have them on patrol, but he's not going to make a play for any kind of early mass. He's just chilling nice and easily in his base, helping construct stuff, not getting involved in any dangerous business. But you can see he's got quite a low order spam set up for Team 2, whereas Blodir and Flavored Max, you can see the click and drag land factory, so they're going to get their spam on pretty quickly. And Flavored Max has actually made his way to the middle as well, so he's got the right idea. He's going to be getting as much mass as is humanly possible. Take a look at where he's getting to. You can see he's just filling up on that mass. He's nowhere near using it, but the old adage goes in the subcom, it doesn't matter if you waste the reclaim as long as your opponent doesn't get their hands on it. But I think they've got a little bit of breathing room. They could probably afford to be a little bit charitable, shall we say, on their time on reclaiming. If you take a look at what Blodir's got, he's got double the reclaim that Flavored Max has got, and Seiko, the other guy who's come to the middle, he's round about Flavored Max. So definitely for the moment Blodir is winning on the reclaim wars, and that should give him a nice start up at the start of this game. But Raul is now in the middle, and he's spamming up a T1 PD, and he's got some reinforcing Mantis coming onto the scene. They can help assist, which is what they're going to do. Handy little trick that Cybrin have. Their units just help build stuff, which is incredibly infuriating for the rest of us that don't like to cheat. But he's actually getting quite a hefty group of units together in the middle now, which is more than can be said for anyone on Team 2. Although, having said that, Vickers is a small group of what look like mech marines out to the right-hand side. Yeah, indeed they are. And they're about to have a very bad day indeed as they walk into that T1 PD range. And actually, we've got Seiko here on an upgrade. It's the right-hand arm, so it looks like a gun upgrade that he's got it going there. And Flavin Max has walked into range, found Raoul, and he's very upset with him. So he's probably going to retreat with all of those Mantis in tow, but he's got some reinforcing Mantis of his own. So it shouldn't be in too much peril in the early days. I'm hearing some bombs being dropped, so someone is wisely harassing nice and early with air. It's actually Blodir. He looks like he's giving Papislovas a hard time, who incidentally seems to be doing very little. And that's a hell of a lot of... That's a serious overreaction to one T1 bomber. Had queued up about, looked like about 15 T1 anti-air turrets before that engineer went down. But I think you're good, mate. I think you just... Don't worry. Work on other things. But anyway, Blodir is moving into position. He's got a decent amount of units in the middle, and so has Flavin Max. The spam is really heating up now, but for those two, for Team 2, it actually looks quite, funnily enough, like the two people facing each other off the side of the maps are the least proficient at the moment. They've got the least number of units. They're probably sitting in their base trying to tech up. Take a look at what Vickers is doing. Literally just working on power and mass and upgrades, not producing any units. Oh, it's okay. He's got a striker. It's fine. He's coming into play. But yeah, stick it to him. Come on, Vickers. Just as your namesake would. But no, some easy defending there for Seiko. Actually, he's got the T2. I do apologize. He was obviously working on the T2 engineering suite. He's got that up and running. And Flavin Max is chilling in range of a brand new constructed Cerberus turret, taking all kinds of damage, and wisely decides to back up out of there. That is not a place that you want to hang out, and that's going to give Seiko quite a reasonable wide berth in the middle, and Raoul is actually working on thinning out this front line of units. Probably should bring his commander into play to make use of that main weapon, but his attention is obviously galvanized out elsewhere, and it is probably for this little attempted run by that Blodir is trying to get into his base with. He's not going to get too much done, but he will take out the engineer that was working on that air factory, so that air factory will not get finished off, and it promptly is going to get round the back, and that's always annoying, because if you lose concentration on that and go around picking up engineers of all kind. But Raoul looking very isolated now in the middle as he's backing away from Blodir's forces, taking all kinds of Lobo fire. Doesn't want to bump into his own units at all. That'll mess up his micro and allow the Lobos to connect with some shots. As you can see, it's plummeting now down into the red, below 2,500 HP, below 2,000 HP, below 1,000. Oh my god, get out the way, Mantis. You're going to get your boss killed. And I think he may just have made it out of there. That was a very dicey couple of seconds for a moment there, but Raoul manages to withdraw without too much risk to life or limb. Papislovas is having a very bad day. Still had been working on a few troops down there. He's getting some point defense turrets up, but it's not going to help the fight in the middle. They could do with some more units. Seiko taking an awful lot of fire from Blodir's comm, but he's not too worried. He's got over 10,000 HP on his comm, just got over the 20 kill mark as well. So he's sitting pretty, and it really is the Blodir Seiko show in the middle at the moment. Raoul has had to withdraw because his commander was in very poor health for a moment there. And it's vitally important that Seiko now gives his teammate Raoul time to recover. Needs to deal with this spam coming in from Flavin Max and Blodir. If he can't deal with it, and allows Raoul to get overrun, he will stand no chance in this game whatsoever. But Raoul isn't going down without a fight. He's got some jesters out, and they're helping to thin out the wedge and the chaff, so to speak. And that will go quite a long way to dealing with things. There's a few interceptors piling up over here for Blodir, but he's not sending them in. There was obviously a little bit of anti-air kicking out around over here. Certainly Seiko is mixing them in with his units. You can see there's a couple of Sky Slammers chilling out in there. And Seiko's now down into the sort of 10,000 hit point region, taking a lot of fire from these Lobos as they kind of launch volley after volley randomly into the air. And, there's the odd bomber joining the Jesters in harassing Blodir's forces now from Raoul. I just like saying that name. I don't know what it is. Raoul. Wonderful name. But Seiko now withdrawing and wisely slow as he drops below 6,000 hit points, brings in his own troops to reinforce. Heavily made up of Medusas. Prefer a few more Mantis in there, but it doesn't really matter because all of Blodir's units seem to be stationary in the middle, and so making life very easy indeed for Seiko as he advances forwards with his own troops. And is that Flavor Max chilling on an upgrade? Oh, I think it was. And that's very bad positioning. He was doing something, I'm not sure what, but he's taking an awful lot of fire as he gets down below 3,000 hit points. Oh my god. Get out of there, dude. No, go that way. Oh, that would be a nasty way to die. Just gets out of there as he passes the 1100 hit point mark. That was nearly a catastrophic ejection from the game. He's very lucky to make it out of there. I'm not sure how he got tangled up so close to Seiko's Cerberus turrets there, but he certainly doesn't want to be doing that again. And Papislovas, I don't see anything there. I can only assume that was a Control K due to, I don't know, maybe he wasn't doing anything. Certainly didn't see anything pop up in the chat window. But if we're honest, he wasn't really doing a great deal of anything anyway. Auto give seems to be on, so Seiko, who seriously doesn't need any help right now, seems to get control of all of those units, all of those resourcing options and factories. And it's probably going to be a good idea if for Team 2 if Blodir tries to take that out as quickly as possible while it's isolated from the rest of Seiko's forces. But look at Seiko, he's just extending this reach of point defense. So he's got a battery going up here, he's got a battery down there, and it's just giving him tremendous coverage in the middle here, and Team 2's having a real difficulty in finding any kind of answer to it. Looks like Blodir is getting some T2 engineering suite on himself in trying to get some kind of answer for this point defense creep Seiko's got going on, which is currently really ruining his day. Finally, that upgrade's going to get finished, and he needs to get down here and start spamming up some triads. A few bombers being very aggressive as they're going after Flavor Max, sensing that he's still slightly vulnerable, only on 3,500 hit points. And despite the fact that Team 1 has lost a guy, it doesn't feel like it's been evened. It doesn't feel like it's been swung in Team 2's advantage at all, because Vickers, I suppose he's moved up now. He's got a few triads in place and he's going after some of the troops, but I'll be very surprised if he manages to win any significant kind of war against Seiko, who's looking very strong at the moment. And certainly he's going the way that many UEF people do and just trying to sit within their shields and get a PD creep on. I say many UEF, many newbie UEF players. It's the way they like to play. Just completely missing out the whole unit route. But more Cerberus turrets going up for Seiko. Is there going to be any part on the map he can't reach? And Blodir trying to get a triad up of his own. He's going to succeed. He's taking fire all the time. You can see that woeful damage from the single Cerberus turret. It's almost like he's tanking it. It's on 22,000 HP. So really doesn't hurt too much. It's going to take the edge off, certainly when he gets this shield up. He wants to get it up, hopefully, before this triad goes down. Interesting that triad's not firing. Has he got a stealth generator up anywhere? I don't see it. Not sure what was going on there, but he has got some coverage up now. In fact, that shield almost went down before it was completed. See, he's got some slight issues because he's going to start spamming up some turrets of his own, but the shield's about to go down for its first cycle. Does have quite a decent eco though, and he's spamming that up nice and quickly. And where's that coming from? So we've got some T2 mobile missile launchers from Raul. So Raul has been given a reprieve thanks to the work of Seiko pushing so hard into Blodir's territory, cutting off Flavored Max from pushing up any more assaults up the middle, and that's given Raul time to get his stuff together. You can see his commander's looking a lot more healthy than the last time we saw him, and he's currently spamming up a tactical missile launcher. Wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing some kind of mass snipe. You're going to need a few more if you're going to go for a comm snipe, certainly if you've got any aspirations of going after Blodir, although he's sitting there and taking a huge amount of Cerberus fire in the face. Literally, that is not good for your health. They do switch it up to go after that triad. That shield that went up earlier has gone down, and that's offering now Blodir no protection whatsoever. But we've got a Flapjack mobile missile launcher on the scene for Blodir, and that was certainly a way to break this little corner of troops that's going up, but he's going to need a hell of a lot more than just one. See, they're rolling in now, and Blodir doesn't seem to like that position. It's far too close, and Seiko is far too entrenched. He's got way too many turrets in position, so he's got a little bank down here. He's got three rows of Cerberus turrets sitting side by side each other, almost, well, not even plumb in the middle. It's far, far west, over in the very much the backyard of Blodir and Flavored Max territory. We've actually got some renegades coming out for Flavored Max, the T2 gunships, but they're not going to get too far as they fly over a whole bunch of Sky Slammers. They have no difficulty whatsoever in popping them out of the sky. We've also got some bangers, yep, so some T2 flak from Raul. He's doing a very nice job indeed. So air not really much of an option for Team 2 to try and break this up. There's just far too much anti-air in it. They certainly have to think of something. I'd like to see them get some of these gunships over here and start assassinating some of the rear resource option and sort of start to cut Seiko off from his supplies and sort of hem him into the middle a little bit. Certainly if Vickers could get a move on, he could do some drops or something in the back and upset Seiko's base. But look at the horde of units for Seiko just pouring into the front of Blodir's base now. And Blodir forced to retreat inside his own little leaf of the clover. He has got a little bit of a forward base up here, and he's actually moving up finally to deal with this, because this is 3 T2 mass points and a T1 mass point that has just been giving Seiko unnecessary amounts of extra resources, and he needs to deal with that if at all possible. And another row of Cerberus turrets going up. I cannot believe it. Flavored Max is trying to play Seiko at his own game. If he can get some shielding option going on, that could go quite well for him. But, oh, Vickers building some artillery. That's not a bad shout if he's going to go with this whole defensive screen thing. If he can put some fire on all of this, take out a few of these factories. But just a few units in here could get in here, destroy all of this build capacity. It's got like 1,000 engineers just chilling, busted up on each other with an A move, and they're all confusing each other. So they need to be redirected, but it's awfully difficult when all this is going on to be thinking about such things. And Blodir has got a forward shield up and a triad, and that's going to start wailing away and thinning out this spam that's mostly Medusas, actually. There's a hell of a lot of Medusas in there. This is something I certainly feel needs addressed, is the reliance on T1 artillery. It needs to be reformed. But we'll have to see how that works out in the new bounce patch. But Seiko taking an awful lot of fire himself now. His Cerberus turrets are working on the reinforcements coming from Flavored Max, destroying his own troops, and that little attack on Blodir is going to peter out now. And finally, Blodir's managed to deal with this upper former base of Papislovas. Needs to take out these 2 mass points and these power plants. Once he's done that, that will certainly go some way to knocking back the potency of Seiko, who just looked rather unstoppable at this moment. But the T2 artillery is starting to work now for Vickers. You can see he's popping a factory there. And another one going down. So this is where I promptly eat my words. But of course, you know, a quick drop in the back could have completely changed the face of this game. And he's had a lot of time to do it. But he's been busy building expensive things like T2 artillery and stuff like that. You know, just a little attack from a force could have changed this entire game. But you know what? It's not easy, and I'm certainly no pro at this game. So I'm going to stop now and get on with the game. Seiko trying to get some TMD up. Has one in place, another one is in production. He's trying to deal with spam that's coming off these flapjacks to the left-hand side from Blodir. And this is how Blodir clearly plans to break these little beachheads. And for the moment, it seems to be working. I guess certainly all Flavor Max has to do is make a push, and he could really isolate Seiko's comm. But a huge proportion of forces went up there for Seiko to try and chase off some of Blodir's troops. You've got a weird kind of rotating engagement happening here. This little band of troops for Blodir has been cut off and has been promptly cut to pieces by Raoul and his rhinos that are just kind of sitting there. So he's sitting pretty on his T2 land tech. That's where he's going for the minute. We've seen very little amounts of energy and mass plowed into air units in this game. It's very much a ground heavy game, but they're always the most fun to watch, to be honest. A lot of plasma cannons over here, and they're just going to murder those hoplites as they come strolling unnecessarily close to the front of the base, but I don't think they're going to last long enough. A few Medusas coming into range now, and that will be the end of that point defense cannon as its hit points evaporate. A guy with dysentery on diet pills. But got a push happening from Blodir now, going after Seiko's base. He's got no Cerberus turrets left in here. He spammed another one up very quickly indeed. But as soon as these pillars get in here, take down the shield. Oh, get inside the shield. Kill the shield. Oh my god. That shield goes down. And Seiko knows that that little forward base is a little bit excessive to hold. It's interesting, he could bring this down now, and I think he will do now that he's destroyed these 3 factories from Blodir. You bring those down to engage Blodir's troops and cut all of this off that's coming in to attack Seiko's comm and deal with some of these Cerberus turrets. I'd love to see him get some more shield gens up and reinforce the central point. It'd be a huge shame if he happens to lose it, but I don't think he's going to. He's just got too much spam north of Blodir's base. But certainly Seiko's getting MVP award at the moment. He's literally kept his team in it, and he's winning it so far for his team, but it's not over yet. He's spamming up TMD as quickly as he can, trying to deal with all of the crazy amount of missile spam coming off those flapjacks, but they're withdrawing now with the prospect of these reinforcing units. And not to mention that Raoul's coming to play with his own. That's looking very grisly indeed, but we have a hero mongoose on the far side. Just think, Vickers, what you could have done if you'd have engaged 10 minutes ago. He could have taken out all of this, and Seiko would be in a pretty pickle. But he's working now, better late than never, even if it's at the pace at which the Catholic Church adopts change. But he's taken out 3 mass points. He's working on a factory now. Not sure what tech they were, but he's certainly getting some work done with those T2 artillery pieces. And if he can push up and kind of cut Seiko off on the left-hand side, he could offer a gateway back into this game for Team 2. Seeing a few more bombers coming in now as well for Raoul. Going straight after these triad turrets that are peculiarly flanking the mass point in a certain way. He's obviously planning to take that, doesn't want to take it yet. He's actually working on some Ravagers, some heavy point defense. Give him some range and coverage, but all the time that he's sitting around at the edge of his base, his teammates are coming under very heavy fire indeed. However, Seiko's own forces look to be kind of caught between two frontline formations, and then were it not for the huge quantity of Cerberus turrets lurking up here by Seiko's comm, I would say he was in trouble. But there's a lot of tactical missile launchers planned, and that TMD, or sorry, not TMD, that tactical missile launcher that Raul built earlier has been firing, incidentally, at what I couldn't tell you. Possible to tell, but he certainly looks like he's going after Vickers for the moment, and it actually looks like they are readdressing or reprioritizing Vickers' danger level, shall we speak. He seems to be coming under quite a heavy attack, and I'd actually be quite concerned if I was him, because he really doesn't have a lot on the field to deal with it. He's got 4 or 5 triads down here. He had a few down here, but there's another one about to go down, and only one T2 shield defending it all. And I think that could be just too much for Vickers to deal with, unless he gets some support from Flavored Max. But it does, at the moment at least, look like Flavored Max couldn't give two monkeys what happens to Vickers. He's not offering any support whatsoever, and I don't really blame him. He hasn't had any support in return. And there goes that T2 shield generator. It's on its first recharge cycle. Of course, the Medusas are now in range and firing, and there it goes. It's not going to get back up again, and all of those point defense turrets are in for the chop, I believe. Huge amounts of damage that the artillery will do to it. And that is the end of that. Vickers is going to have to drop his commander back, I think. Well, there's not a great deal of reinforcing stuff right now, I suppose, but certainly this once dangerous looking firebase has been muted. These artillery are completely vulnerable indeed. Half of them now have gone down, and the other soon to follow, I believe. Some engineers on a reclaim mission. That's not going to go too well. Their supervisor's going to be thoroughly displeased. And I think that is going to be the end of Vickers' forward base as the hammer closes in. And it really didn't take an awful lot to break. It's a shame he hadn't pumped out more units. I mean, he has a T3 factory. He's still producing engineers out of it. Love to see some Titans on the field or something like that, chewing through the swathes of T1. But still, despite all of these attacks, Seiko is sitting pretty in the middle with all of this stuff, and they don't look like they're in any danger of breaking him just yet. And they've managed to hold on to these mass points. They lost them once, but they are now in Raul's hands. Looks like they're going to be able to hold on to them as well, at least for the time being. These T3 NGs are going to go down. So we knock it back up to +1. Quite a lot of Vipers on the field for Flavored Max. So both Flavored Max and Blodir favouring the mobile missile launcher, trying to outrange these bases that Seiko has put together. So many Cerberus turrets. How many has he actually got? He's got 13 Cerberus turrets in the middle, and he's actually got a whole bank of mobile missile launchers. So if he gets a sneaky read on a comm anywhere, that's a snipe waiting to happen. There's actually some tactical missile launchers in the middle. There's actually a tactical missile launcher coming across the field right now. There's actually some coming across over here as well, going straight after that factory. And those tactical missile launchers of Flavored Max have gone down, and so is that T3 factory for Blodir. That is a blow. T3 would go down very nicely right about now. A few Percivals marching in towards that to help deal with the outrageous amounts of T2 PD. Seiko having some power troubles as his shields promptly blink on and off. If you slow it up, we'll just take a look at how these guys are doing economically wise. You see, absolutely out of power, Seiko. Knocking out around 87 mass, however. Blodir is on 93 mass, so in economic terms he's actually ahead, but he's probably not doing so well on build capacity, and he does. It's always nerve-wracking when you're blockaded into your base. A huge quantity of tac missiles coming in now. And if they're going straight for Flavor Max, if they've got a read from him, he could be ejected from the game. Oh, move your comm, move your comm, move your comm, move your comm. Oh, they won't go for you, you lucky bastard. Going straight after a T3 mass point. And if they'd had a read on that, probably could have snagged the commander there. He did move it or flinch it at the last second. But it looks like they're finally going to make a move or some kind of assault on this forward position. Seiko's trying to spam up as much T1 PD as he can as quickly as possible. The auto guns to give himself that extra little bit of firepower as we knock it back up to normal. That's quite a hefty attack. Coordinated reasonably well. But thankfully for Seiko, he's got quite a few units on the field from Raul, T2. But there's a lot of stingers, and they've locked on to Seiko's comm. Team 1 need to get some air in there. Raul is on the case. He's going straight after those stingers. There's a whole bunch of interceptors sitting on the ground here for Flavored Max. If they'd gone in as well, they could be offering protection for the stingers. But I think there's also a lot of anti-air coming off the ground, and those stingers have been literally vaporized. So that could have been a nice pickup there to get Seiko out of the game. That would be game over. But he is forced to withdraw. At least that's something. They may have a chance at nullifying this little forward base now. However, they do seem very low on numbers of units. And Vickers marching in with the Mongoose again. Looks like he's working on some of this build capacity. Nice to get some of it off that T2 factory, slow up the production of the Rhinos and the Vipers. It's a shame that they almost broke that forward position. There's too many Cerberus turrets, though, kicking around in the middle. They could have dealt with them. They may not have lost as many units as they did. That would just perhaps allow them to break up the middle a little bit. Oh, Vickers, build an air transport. Drop some units back here, please. I'm begging you. Just do it. But I don't think he's going to listen to me. Engineer going down there as the troops seem to be massing on the border once again, or the front of Vickers' base. Vickers is bringing his comm out to meet them. Starting to work on some defenses again, I believe. It looks like a row of triads. But Raul is now taking things seriously. He is marching very quickly towards the front edge of Flavored Max's base. And by the looks of things, he just doesn't have anything to deal with it. Another huge quantity of TAC missiles coming in. Going straight after perhaps the commander of Flavored Max, but he's on the move. Or maybe potentially the air factory. It is the air factory. That goes down. So there'll be no more gunships or T2 air units for the moment, at least, coming out of Flavored Max's corner. Needs to get something together to deal with this horde of units. He's losing factory after factory, and I think it's probably safe to say that Team 1 are going out on this one. They did manage to take out those mass points once again to hamper in whatever way they could the expansion from Team 1, but Seiko has been just too strong in this one. Another pretty solid looking group of stingers. Like he's coming in. Trouble is, he's flying over a whole load of bangers, or at least one or two bangers in there. There's another one coming in, and T2 gunships just aren't great at dealing with T2 flak. As you can see, the AoE just knocking them all out of the sky. And that will be an expensive use of the gunships for very little defensive gain. More tactical missiles coming in. It looks like they're going after the T2 power generator of Blodir. And Vickers is getting involved now. He's got a few Mongoose on the scene. He's trying to stem the tide of units from Raul that's heading into Flavored Max's base. Flavored Max has managed to get about 4 Cerberus turrets together, coupled with his commander. One of them goes down, but it's enough to force Raul to think twice before advancing any further. He's going to back out at least towards the front entrance of his base. Another group of stingers going down for Blodir. It's a sign of a guy that is really running out of options and ways to deal with this horde of units, but the trouble is that Seiko has a very nice set of unit composition. He's pretty well covered for range, air and ground. As more stingers come in and promptly fall out of the sky. And, I'm not certain how much damage this little attack will wreak. I mean, he hasn't got a lot of stuff. Certainly do with bringing some of these units back to try and deal with it. But Vic is getting stuck into the main base, getting some fire from the bombers of Raoul. Just not getting stuck in the quantity in which he needs to. He's got a few Ravagers up front finally. He's still trying to get this kind of defensive bubble up at the front of his base. But it's just not going to help his team. You can see that power gen went down, so it was obviously a successful TAC missile strike in the last one. That shield goes down as well. And that T3 shield generator is on rotation. That won't be up for a little while. But at least the units are more or less finished at the back of Blodir's base. But it's just a relentless spam of TAC missiles now coming in from Seiko's base. Looks like they're going after the fusion now. That will be absolutely catastrophic. There it goes. Takes another T2 with it. That must hurt Blodir for power indeed. Minus 2,600 on current build routine. And Blodir throws up the GG. He says it's all over, which means it is, because these two ain't going to change anything on their own. Blodir quits out. And Flavor Max promptly control Ks at the same time. Oh, and Vickers was very close to going down indeed. Let's see if he quits out. I'm sure he probably will do. But there are TAC missiles going off in the middle still. So some nice advancement from Raoul. And that was going straight after where his comm was standing. Raoul asking, saying he hopes he was helpful. But as he certainly played well, but I think man of the match has to go to Seiko for that one. That was something else. Of course, the auto give function is on. So however unlikely it may be for Vickers to turn this around, he needs to be finished off. And there's a TAC missile coming in right now, and oh! And Raoul, of course, gets all the points because of the nice little TAC missile snipe at the end. So, well played, Team 1. Yay, I finally got one, he says. Oh, well, that's fun. Anyway, guys, there's another Average Joe's for you. I hope you enjoyed that. Keep the replays coming in, guys. I'll say once again, of course, we have Facebook page up for Forged Alliance. If you use Facebook, the link is in the description to this video below. I also have my own page if you're interested in following me, so check that out, guys. But for now, it's enough from me. See you next time, guys. This is Gyle signing off.